After nearly 5 years since the global financial crisis, the world's developed economies are starting to show some signs of life. But can this recovery be sustained? The unprecedented policy response to the crisis has also brought more imbalances and idiosyncrasies to world economies. Could the solutions end up causing more long-term harm than short-term good? Over the next hour, we discuss and debate the new growth compass with our panel of experts. Ellen Kullman, CEO of DuPont. Li Daokui, Director, Center for China in the World Economy at Tsinghua University. Adam Posen, President of the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Zhu Min, Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. And Edward Zhu, CEO of China's CHIC Group. And now, your host, CNBC's Bernie Lowe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special presentation brought to you in conjunction with the World Economic Forum on behalf of all of us at CNBC Asia. How many of you have used a compass before? If you were in anything like the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or your local or national equivalent, you probably did a little bit of that. You know where you are in the sphere of the Earth. What is a compass? Indeed, it points to a pole somewhere, and it tells you whether essentially you're headed in the right direction, you're headed north, east, west, or south. Well, as far as what we're concerned with today, economic capital flows for a long time, pretty much as long as I can remember back, have gone from due west to east because that's where the growth was. Maturing economies didn't really have the image or the potential that a lot of the emerging market economies, and we use various terms, frontier, pioneer economies, but as all of you know by now, events that have come to pass in very, very recent history have led to, well, a reversal of that, and, well, as the new growth compass in our little animated logo there shows, it's going any which way. We're going to debate a number of topics today, but more importantly, we're not going to look backward in the rearview mirror, we're going to look forward and find where the real future growth is going to come from, whether it be places or people or cultures. And of course, we'll bring into all of that new technologies and how to harness the power of technology and human skill sets and human capital. You've all been introduced to our panelists today, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get right to it. We do want to our three economists on the panel, talk a little bit about and hopefully settle the score on where we are with macroeconomic policies. Never before have central bankers been such rock stars. Even I talked to just about every governor or every president of the regional Federal Reserve System in the United States, and it's like, wow, so many voices, one organization. Dr. Posen, let me start with you. Central bank, we've been so obsessed with central bank activity lately. Can we get over it at this point?
Yeah. Okay. If anything, you should be getting over it already, Bernie. The central banks have sold themselves and you a bill of goods. They're doing this radical, unconventional stuff, and that's always been exaggerated. You go back 20, 30 years, central banks were buying and selling securities in China, in England, in the U.S. It's not that new. And so when people make a big thing about the exit, I think they're exaggerating. It's a bunch of bond traders who don't want to lose money, but they also don't want to get out early, so they complain. That's life. I think the important thing to recognize is, for good or for worse, we're moving past the policy stage. This is about the private sector. This is about regulatory policy and sectoral policy. I think my colleagues in the central banking community are going to recede back into their well-deserved anonymity soon.
I'm so glad to hear. These are soothing words, because I thought I was kind of doing overkill talking about central bank policy, but you're actually vindicating what I'm saying here.
Absolutely. We can move on to other topics now.
Okay. Dr. Zhu Min, you concur with Dr. Posen there? We can look forward, right?
Yeah, we do, but in most of the cases, I always agree with Adam because he's such a powerful speaker, but not today. I would say the unwinding non-conventional monetary policy could have quite a big impact for the global financial situation and economic growth rates as well. If you're looking for in the past 3 months, the interest rate, the market interest rates increased quite a bit, from 50% base point to 360 base points across all different countries, and make financial condition much tightened today now, which is the one reason the growth is slowing down. And if you're looking for the rewinding, it was started with 85 billion to zero purchase from 3.5 trillion US for Fed balances to 1.5 or 2 trillion, it's a very long process, and it's not all easy to operate. So it is quite a long-term impact. And I would say that will bring quite a bit of global volatilities in the capital market in the futures. So overall, if you talk about global economic growth rates, I would say the growth rate is still subdued, and the downside risk still dominant in the future economic forecasting. And a few things, the one reason is financial condition tightening, and also with emerging markets slowing, and Europe is still in the protracted recession. So we think the growth is slowed down. We need exactly on this issue to promote growth.
Okay, Adam's picking a fight now, unfortunately, Dr. Zhu.
Real quick, the key thing where my friend Min, I think, has got it wrong is that it's not just about what the Fed does. It's not just about the money tightening. We're seeing vast differences across the emerging markets. We're seeing Mexico is in a different state than Brazil. We're seeing that Turkey is in a different state than Romania. We're seeing markets are finally pulling back, and it's the fundamentals in these countries that matter at least as much as anything that the Fed does or the Bank of England does. And so that leads us into where I was trying to go, which is it's going to matter which country you're in, which region you're in, which set of institutions you're in, and it's not going to be the kind of unusual thing we saw the last 5 years of everybody rising and falling together.
Right.
No, Adam, my friend Adam is not accurate.
You said no fighting.
Because if you're looking for the capital flow in the past 3 months, I can divide them into 2 phases, because this is such an important issue. I'm also love debating with Adam. And in the first 2 months, you see universal capital flow across the boards, and it's really international factors, nothing to do with the local macro. In August, the capital flow do differentiate the local macro conditions from different countries. So that's a universal fact because the Fed policy impact on the global capital flow.
But the impact on the individual country is different. So when we turn to the corporates on the panel and we turn to Bernie, the compass is going to be about determining what the impact is of these common shocks on different economies. Okay. So it's still about the different economies.
All right, doctors, we'll have a separate World Economic Wrestling Federation matchup, okay, at some point. Dalcley, I'd like you to maybe smooth things out so we can start talking about, you know, where the push for growth is going to come. So can you be a calm voice, please, here?
Sure. I'm sitting in the middle, so I'm in a good position to smooth out the disputes, okay?
Thank you.
I think 5 years ago, almost to the date, the world changed, the financial world changed, that almost everybody got the big shot, originated from the US. I think from now on, maybe in the coming 6 months, another shock wave will be here. Actually, the tip of the iceberg is already here. That is the so-called tapering of the US Federal Reserve policy. I was there in the Jackson Hole conference. I can see the scare in the eyes of many policymakers from emerging market economies. Now, this time around, I agree with Dr. Zhu that not everybody will be hurt, will be hit in the same fashion like 5 years ago. Depends upon the fundamentals. There will be countries like Indians, like the Turkish, like the Brazilians, like the Indonesians, where the fundamentals are not perfectly sound, where their problems, defects in the fundamentals will be amplified by the tapering of the US Fed policy. Meanwhile, there will also be countries like China, where there's a bigger buffer of currency reserves, a bigger buffer of physical surplus one way or the other, enabling them to muddle through the tapering of the Fed policy. So 5 years apart, 5 years after the financial crisis, now we are seeing the world, especially the emerging market world, being diversified. But the force, the impetus, is the tapering off of the policy.
Okay, let's build on our economic conversation here, bring it to industry, and move on from there. Ellen, Dr. Posen just mentioned a few points on the globe, and presumably these are geographies in which a company like DuPont engages all the time. Your job, though, is to manage a company and increase shareholder wealth. You don't have a lot of time to think about what central bankers are thinking or trying to channel them or anything, but you do have to react to what happens around.